Beyond the fact that 12% of the American population just lost food stamps because of the Republicans, because of Trump's big, beautiful bill, there are new measures and new restrictions to SNAP benefits. So even more people are going to be ineligible for the program, even though they're not even giving out food stamps.
New federal restrictions begin for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP. SNAP provides food benefits to low-income families, and starting on November 1st, states will have to comply with expanded work requirements for SNAP benefits. Able-bodied adults without dependents can receive SNAP benefits for only 3 months within a 3-year period unless they meet certain work requirements. This will also limit changes when it comes to the age of what's considered a dependent child. The cutoff now is going to be 14. It used to be 18. About 42 million people across the country receive SNAP benefits.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell, and let's dive right into what's shaping up to be another chapter in America's ongoing economic experiment. This time involving your dinner plate. Yeah. So here we go again. Another big, beautiful policy move from the Trump administration and its Republican allies. This time, slicing through the very safety net millions of Americans depend on. Over 12% of the population. Yes, that's tens of millions of people just lost their SNAP benefits, or what most people know as food stamps. And as if that wasn't enough, new restrictions are being added that will kick even more people off the program. It's like the government is saying, we're not giving you food stamps, but we'll make sure you don't qualify for them either.
Despite what everybody might tell you, it's actually very difficult to qualify for food stamps. I've been on food stamps my entire life since I was a child, and now I'm an adult, I'm still on food stamps, and it's very difficult to qualify for it. And one of the reasons it's so difficult to qualify for it is because of the income eligibility factors. You have to be below poverty guidelines in order to qualify for food stamps. But that number is so low, it's almost impossible. They factor it in based on where you live. So say, for example, the number that they want you to make is something like $800 a month. If you make more than $800 a month, you can't qualify for SNAP. You make $815 a month. They say, nope, you're not eligible because you make $15 more than the cutoff line. But very obviously, $815 a month is not going to be able to feed your family. So what ends up happening is you have a lot of people in America who do not make enough money to support their family, but they're also just a little tiny bit over the threshold of what is able to get food stamps here in America. And that's what is happening to thousands of people across the United States. They're unable to get food stamps because they're just like a tiny bit over that threshold. And it's super hard to get on it. Basically, you have to either give up your job, cut your hours back to the point where you're not making any money just to get food stamps, basically being punished for working in order to qualify for welfare, which is crazy, or you just have to, find some other way to make ends meet. So that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult.
If you are waiting to be approved for Social Security Disability or SSI, and you've been receiving SNAP food benefits, listen up. Here's what you need to know right now. SNAP just updated its rules for so-called able-bodied adults without dependents. Under the new regulations, if you don't qualify for an exemption, you could be limited to receiving only 3 months of benefits in a 3-month period unless you work or train for about 20 hours per week or prove a disability. Now, if you're applying for disability and haven't yet been approved, you might technically qualify for the disability exemption from that time limit, but you still must prove that you're exempt. That means gathering current medical documentation showing that you cannot do physical work or meet the training or hours expectation. Your doctor must write it down. Unable to work due to fill-in-the-blank condition. Medical restrictions prevent 20 hours per week of labor. That kind of language matters. Here's what to do. Talk to your doctor right away. Ask for a note that you're waiting on Social Security approval and that your condition limits substantial work. Call your state SNAP office, tell them that your disability is pending, and ask what proof they accept. Because if the rule applies in your county and you don't act, you risk losing food benefits even while you wait for Social Security. Don't let this gap go unnoticed. Follow me for updates on disability and benefit rules so you don't get caught off guard.
So starting January 1st, 2026, there will be new restrictions on SNAP benefits. So for Florida, the SNAP restrictions are no candy, no soda, no desserts, and that includes like the handmade cakes that they have at the bakery. That is going to be completely off limits. You won't be able to buy them. This should last about 2 years, and the purpose of this is for the USDA to restrict certain food items to assess the knowledge of people's consumption and their health. They also want to bring awareness to nutrition value, and they also want to reduce diseases, health issues, and things like that. So that is why they are making certain food restrictions with SNAP on January 1st of 2026. Again, every state has its own restriction list, so make sure you visit their website and see what the restrictions are. But overall, I've heard that it's pretty similar. It's going to be junk foods, sugary foods, energy drinks, and things like that.
The intent is to try to get rid of the food stamp cost. They're trying to cut budgets.
That's Joe Lackey. He's the president of the Indiana Grocery and Convenience Store Association.
This is not the way to do it, by piecemealing it and creating unfair competitive situations.
Last month, the Department of Agriculture approved Governor Mike Braun's request to remove soda and candy from SNAP benefits. The goal is to stop the more than 600,000 low-income Hoosiers on SNAP from buying junk food. But Lackey says the move will only cause stress for SNAP retailers near the state's border. Benefits can be used across the country, so Indiana can't restrict what enrollees buy outside of the state.
If you want to do this, the way to do it is to go do it nationally. It's a federal program. It's federal money. The feds are the ones paying for it. So go through USDA, and USDA just announced it nationwide. This is what we're going to do.
Lackey says it was only after the administration made the announcement that they asked for input from industry leaders. Now, what are a few of the concerns that you would have shared with the governor?
Unfortunately, most of the recipients are not going to know about this. We know this from past history. They're not going to know about this until they come in the store, and then our employees in our groceries and convenience stores are going to have to try to explain it to them, and they're not going to be happy about it.
Another concern, how the government defines candy and soda. The current definition of candy says it doesn't include anything with flour. The definition of soda doesn't include drinks with over 50% veggie or fruit juice. Lackey says this means the move would ban bottled teas and granola bars, but not Kit Kats or Twix. And that would be on clerks to explain to buyers.
We're going to have some situations where some of our associates in our stores are going to be abused. It's not fair to them.
Now, is all of this leading to grocery store chains saying they won't build in Indiana?
Yes, I'm hearing that.
Now, Lackey says this could be just another roadblock for stores looking to do business here. I'm Kyla Russell for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
EBT and SNAP have new laws, rules, and regulations against sugary snacks and sugary sodas, sugary drinks, stuff like that. But in some states, I guess they're even going to go as far as potato chips and chips. So would you guys please let me know in the comment what state you're from and if any of your laws have changed drastically? I would love to know. I want some more information about this, and they're not getting it up on the internet fast enough. They haven't put state by state what's regulated or not. So I'm coming to you guys to see if you guys can do it. Repost this video also so more people can also do the same for their states. But if you would like this video, repost it. We can get more information out to more people so more people are aware and they don't have to freak out on the cashiers. But yeah, please put your information in. Give me a comment down below, like and share. Let me know what your EBT laws, rules, and regulations are, and if they've changed drastically or if it's going to affect you guys at all. I've seen in other videos that it's going to affect a lot of people.
If you are receiving SNAP benefits, it has just been announced that you will not be able to buy any more sodas, any more candies. Listen to this.
Since my confirmation, our department has encouraged states to think differently and creatively about how to solve the many health issues facing Americans. One way is by not allowing taxpayer-funded benefits to be used to purchase unhealthy items like soda, candy, and other junk food. The number one purchase by SNAP recipients is sugary drinks. SNAP is a supplemental nutrition program meant to provide health food benefits to low-income families to supplement their grocery budget so they can afford the nutritious food essential to health and well-being. That is the stated purpose of the SNAP program.
Amen.
The law states it, and President Trump's USDA plans to deliver on it alongside our partners at HHS.
Just a fair warning, you will be bombarded with videos on TikTok with them losing their mind over the fact that they can't buy sodas and candies.
Governor Reynolds says these changes are needed to promote healthy eating, but some of the foods that would still be allowed include cookies, cake mix, syrup, ramen noodles, and even frosting. In January, SNAP purchases will be limited to foods the state doesn't tax. Healthy items like eggs, milk, meat, and fruits and veggies are good to go. So are less nutritious items like chips and ice cream. But Iowans who utilize SNAP wouldn't be allowed to choose some healthier options like fruit strips and some trail mix. These new restrictions also ban granola bars unless they contain flour. So this bar, which has no artificial ingredients and 6 grams of protein, would be banned. But these bars, which have less than 1 gram of protein, would be okay because they contain flour. Iowa isn't the only state making these changes. Nebraska has also enacted similar restrictions, and more Republican-led states are considering it.
We're changing the SNAP program so that, we now are handling a tsunami of applications by the states to give them SNAP waivers so to get sodas and candies off of SNAP.
And it's really, again, sending a message to low-income Iowans who are struggling that our state government does not trust them to make the best food choices for their family, and we just feel that's wrong.
Luke Elzinga with the Iowa Hunger Coalition says he doesn't think the restrictions will make Iowans healthier.
The number one barrier that folks on SNAP face in improving their diet and eating healthier is the high cost of healthy food. And this waiver request does nothing to address the affordability of those items.
Elzinga says instead, lawmakers should invest more in the Double Up Food Bucks program. It gives SNAP recipients an incentive to buy locally grown fruits and vegetables. This year, the Iowa House passed a bill setting aside $1 million for the program, but the Senate never took it up. In Des Moines, I'm Connor Hendricks reporting.
So many of you may have heard that there's like these new SNAP restrictions for food stamps that are being imposed in order to prevent recipients from purchasing certain food items. And if I'm reading it off of Google, it says new restrictions on SNAP benefits will take effect April 1st, 2026, prohibiting the purchase of sweetened drinks and candy. This change, approved by the USDA, aims to encourage healthier eating habits among SNAP recipients by restricting the purchase of items deemed low in nutritional value. Here's the problem. The problem is that it's not that they're spending on sweetened or unhealthy foods. It says that is the access that they have based on their zip code. This is not a secret that most recipients who obviously are lower income, which is why they're receiving the SNAP benefit to begin with, there are not superior food chains and grocery chains in these neighborhoods. Not only are there not superior food chains or food grocery stores with giving them access to healthier food options, but there's also not reliable transportation or resources to even get them to other places that have healthier foods and be able to transport their groceries back. There are systems and resources in place with local markets and like the farmers markets and things like that, where they'll actually even double the value of your dollar, your SNAP dollar. Let's say you go to the farmers market and you have $30 worth of produce. They'll give you $60 worth of produce. So really, or if you picked up $30 worth of produce, they'll only charge you $15 on your SNAP card versus the full price. So there's different resources like this. But if you consider where the Dallas farmers market is, who is going there to grocery shop? They're going to have to make multiple stops to get all the different things they need. And then they'll have to transport these groceries back to their home And there's a lot of elders that receive these benefits. There's a lot of single parent homes, so they're going to have to possibly travel with children on public transportation, which they're also trying to eliminate in some of these neighborhoods. So I understand some of the reasoning behind trying to restrict what they're able to purchase with their food stamp benefit. But I think the bigger issue here is not even having a lot of these products in the store. There should be legislation on certain food colorings, certain food preservatives, and ingredients overall. And then there should be better access for fresh, healthier food options in the neighborhoods where these people are receiving the most benefits. I live in a prominent area in Dallas that is considered a very dangerous or low income area, right? The closest store we have, most of the food items in there are double the price of the regular grocery store if I were to go to Cedar Hill or Duncanville. It's not fair. Every end cap has not fast food, but like junk food, hot Cheetos, candy bars, honey buns, and then the fresh foods are double the price. So rather than penalize the person who's receiving these benefits, and a lot of times are extremely reliant on these benefits, why not talk to the corporations that are producing these foods, that are shipping them en masse and bulk into these communities, and the grocery stores that are not even opening their doors to these communities that to make them more accessible. These are like these little Save-A-Lot stores and like these, like what you would say, like off-brand grocery stores, and then they're price gouging. Isn't that a bigger issue? Isn't that the bigger issue, that the access and the ingredients? Maybe I don't know anything. Maybe that's not a better solution, but I think it is. I think the restriction, okay, I understand, but a lot of times that's what these families can afford. Because if you take your SNAP benefits and let's say you get $175 a month, you're going to be able to get way more food that's processed than you could get healthy, fresh food options. So a lot of these people, they're not actually getting enough to really support their family for the whole month. It's a supplement. That's why it's called supplemental. That's why it's a SNAP benefit. That S is for supplemental. It's supposed to go alongside the money that you earn to buy yourself food and groceries. A lot of times it's just not enough, and they're trying to stretch it. So yeah, they're going to get 99-cent pizza, little frozen pizzas and sodas and things like that, because the healthier food options are just way more expensive. A bag of apples right now is almost $7. So I think that they need to go back to the drawing board. I think they need to go back to the drawing board and figure out some better solutions, and not just trying to penalize the people who are so-called on welfare or receiving these benefits. There are other ways to reconcile the influx of unhealthy foods into these communities and the health impacts that they have on these communities as well. That right there is an epidemic all in itself. Obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, like those things can be addressed by eliminating the ingredients that most other countries have already eliminated in their foods and would never, ever allow for their citizens to consume. But that's just my take on it. What do I know?
Before you start celebrating about the restrictions on EBT food stamps, let me go ahead and list all the pros and cons of these restrictions. Let's start with the cons. The cons of EBT restrictions: no increase in benefits amounts, limited access to affordable food, administrative complexity, lack of evidence of effectiveness, economic impact on local businesses, disproportionate impact on vulnerable groups. According to a report, this restriction is going to impact the economy because SNAP supports jobs. So every $1 in benefits returns $1.50 to $1.79 in economic activity. So these will also cut or reduce income for farmers, grocers, small towns, and local economies. I don't receive food stamps, but I can think of just a couple bodegas that are going to suffer from this change. All right, let's move on to the pros. So the pros: it does promote healthier eating habits, potential public health benefits, aligns with nutrition guidelines, possible long-term healthcare savings, increased public confidence. When I looked into the increased public confidence, this is all based on hypothetical. It's more so for the perception of the way that America spends people's tax dollars. All in all, I'm not a food stamp recipient, so it's not really going to affect me. However, I think that this is going to hurt us, especially when you look at the returns. I know that a lot of people think that we're going to reallocate our funds elsewhere, but this is really all for perception. And if the return for every dollar of EBT spent, the return of $1.50 to $1.79, that's an ROI. I don't know if you guys know about that, but I think this is actually going to devastate communities big time. I'm all for having some restrictions for sure, because I think that there's some foods that really shouldn't even be bought, but I don't think this is the way. I think they may have to, listen, if you're going to take something away, you should probably implement some other programs that are going to help wean people off of these types of foods. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts, I guess.
So let's get something straight right out of the gate. SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, isn't some luxury perk. It's a lifeline. It helps people put food on the table, literally. And we're not talking about just the unemployed or the homeless. Many SNAP recipients are working class Americans, people with jobs who simply can't make ends meet in this inflated economy. But now, thanks to what's being called Trump's Big Beautiful Bill, the eligibility requirements have tightened even further. We're talking stricter work requirements, reduced income thresholds, and shorter certification periods. Translation: look, if you're not struggling but not struggling in the if you're struggling but not struggling in the right way, you're out. Yeah. These new restrictions target so-called able-bodied adults without dependents. In political language, that means anyone between 18 and 49 who doesn't have a child living with them. Mhm. The logic goes, if you can work, you should work, or else no food stands for you. Sounds simple, right? Except it's not. It's not, because the majority of people affected already are working, or they are in between jobs, or living in areas where jobs are scarce. You can't work at a job that doesn't exist. You can't apply for a position that got automated last year. And you can't feed yourself on promises about a booming economy when your pantry is empty. Here's the kicker. This is happening while food prices are soaring and wages, especially in low-income sectors, are barely keeping pace with inflation. Grocery costs have gone up by over 25% in the last few years. Recent rents through the roof, right? And yet the government's grand plan is to cut access to the one thing keeping millions from hunger. It's like trying to fix a house fire by taking away the water hose. And for those celebrating this move, claiming it will reduce government dependency, let's be real. The SNAP program already had built-in work requirements and timelines, or time limits. Most recipients cycle off within a year as their situations improve. It's not a permanent handout, it's a stabilizer during hard times. The real issue here isn't dependency, it's control. It's about deciding who deserves to eat and who doesn't. It's about sending a message that poverty is a personal failure, not a systemic problem. Make no mistake, this is political theater. The administration gets to they get to boast about cutting wasteful spending while ignoring the fact that corporate subsidies, tax loopholes, and defense contracts dwarf SNAP the entire budget. Those are the real issues. It's not about saving money. It's about scoring political points by punching down on the poor. And while the cuts make headlines, the real damage happens quietly at kitchen tables across America, where parents keep meals so their kids can eat, where seniors ration groceries to make it through the month, and where working adults wonder how much longer they can afford both rent and food. Sad. So, what happens next? Well, hunger doesn't just vanish, it spreads. Food insecurity leads to health issues, higher medical costs, and lower productivity. Look, it drains local economies. Every dollar in SNAP benefits generates about $1.50 to $1.80 in economic activity. When you take that away, small town grocery stores close, farmers lose customers, and local businesses feel the ripple effect. Cutting SNAP isn't just cruel, it's economic self-sabotaging. So, guys, here we are again. Here's where we are at. A country that can spoil or spend billions on border wars and corporate bailouts is now telling hungry families to tighten their belts a little more. How much tighter can they go? What do you think? Are these SNAP cuts really about encouraging work or just another way to punish the poor? Do you believe the government should have the power to decide who's worthy of eating? And more importantly, where does this end? What happens when there's no safety net left to cut? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I read every one of them. Don't forget to like the video and please subscribe for more breakdowns on what's really going on in America's economic underbelly. Until next time, stay informed, stay sharp, and keep asking hard questions. Credit belongs to original creators. I'll see you guys on my next video. One love.